My girlfriend stayed the night at another guy's place. My girlfriend and I are reaching 2 years in our relationship and we met in college. I had to leave the country and continue studying in my home country because I was getting a better education, so it's been a long distance relationship for the past few months. Anyways, to the point now, so I was outside and she told me she's going out with her friend. She's my friend too, I've known her for years, and a friend of that friend who's a guy. They had dinner and a bunch of drinks and decided to go to his place. She was missing in action for over 4 hours, but that's normal when she's out with friends, but she texted me saying that they're all at his place now and chilling. This has never happened before and her excuse was to sober up. It's 6 a.m. where she is now and it's been a few hours since she told me that and has again gone quiet. Her excuse to sober up doesn't make sense to me because she could have gone to our friend's house, as they live closer and she's literally someone we've known for longer than our relationship. I'm now losing sleep over this and my mind is obviously starting to overthink every outcome. She has already set the precedent that it's not okay for me to go to a girl's place as she's not comfortable with it. We set this rule after me and my boys went to a house party and I didn't know it was a girl's until I got home a little drunk and she was upset I went to a girl's house. But now she's done the same thing. She broke the rule which we set after a long argument and it has been bothering me for the past few hours. Side note, me nor my girlfriend have known this guy. Our other friend just met him in a club and vibed together a couple months back. So my girlfriend doesn't even know him at all. At least the girl whose house I had ended you was someone we both met multiple times. I of course think that she's lying and definitely done something wrong, especially when she texted me and started saying I love you, I miss you, I hate you for leaving, etc. PS. She knows how to control her alcohol and has a much higher tolerance. LVE never actually seen her drunk even after multiple shots, so she wasn't definitely drunk. I'm sorry if the details are all over the place. I can't think straight and I'm literally crying over this as I type. My question is that is something really off or am I just overthinking too much? She knows I'm not okay with guys coming to her place and vice versa. Would I be wrong to make a big deal about this? This is a major red flag, and I know how our conversation's gonna go. She's gonna hear my problem then say that I'm turning this into a competition by comparing our mess. UPS, this is literally how every fight ends, and then she'll either somehow manipulate me into apologizing or she'll just apologize. I don't think I can trust her again if I don't get an actual answer which means something, but I don't want to lose her because she's the one good thing keeping me stable. Comment. Sounds like you have stuff going on if you rely on her for your sense of stability. Whatever that stuff is, will impact how you view things. It's fair enough to expect that if she sets a rule that you agree to, then the same should apply to her. It sounds like she deflects your concerns in an argument, and manipulates the situation so that you apologize, or that she does, just to close it down, which means that the problem never gets properly solved. If there isn't a genuine desire to meet each other's needs and to communicate effectively to resolve issues, then it's not going to work out long term. Try to distract yourself with something else, until she's awake. Don't talk over text, see her face to face and start by telling her that you feel hurt and want to understand why she did this. Hopefully she won't feel defensive straight away. Good luck. It sounds like your gut is telling you that there is a good chance that your girlfriend has cheated in some way while staying over at that new guy's place. And now that the seed of doubt has been planted, what can you do about it? Is there any way to get at the truth of what happened while being away long distance? I think you start by talking to the female friend who accompanied her that night and get her story of what happened. Then use that information to query your girlfriend for her version of what happened that night. Compare and analyze. Do they match up? If you are bold, just straight up ask the female friend if she thinks that your girlfriend may have cheated. I would also get the name of the guy that she stayed with and his address where she spent the night. Final thought. Ask your girlfriend to come to where you are right away to discuss this in person. Offer to pay for the airfare so that she has no excuse for not coming. If she balks at this, chances are that she did in fact cheat. Next story 2. I have a huge crush on my best friend's brother. I met my best friend on Tinder in 2019. I didn't like her like that, and I'm sure the feeling was mutual. So we became closer and closer as the years went by. We both have been there for one another through thick and thin. Truly. She is one of the best friends I could ever ask for. For about 6 months into 2020, I lived with my best friend and her brother and I never spoke much except for a few words. However, when I moved out, we got a bit closer. Not too crazy, but we exchanged more words than just hi and bye. We added one another on social media and started talking. He had this GF, back then and currently, and I guess at some point they started having issues and he would flirt with me. Although he had admitted to crushing on me, he's also crushed on a few of my best friend's friends. He was always adamant about being loyal for the most part, though. Long story short, him and I got into an argument and he tried to make it seem like to his sister that I started everything, but I had screenshots. His sister confronted him and his GF was around. She admitted to cheating on him and they took a break, but apparently now their relationship is good, other than shit my best friend has told me. Fast forward, 2023, my best friend and I get into an awful argument. Some unfortunate events brought us back together. However, her brother didn't want me anywhere near their house. We hung out for several months and I had finally had enough. About a week ago, I reached out to him and asked him if we were good and he said yes, so I was finally allowed in the house. A couple times passed and eventually came a point where him and I had to interact. He took his sister to run some errands and I sat in the back seat and we had exchanged a few words, me just offering him cigarettes, he said he didn't have any. We went to a few places and honestly as the day went on, things were so good between us and it felt like we had never stopped talking ever. We cracked a few jokes, laughed. And at some point, we were leaving a store and I asked my best friend if she could push me on the cart, and he offered to do so, but I had just hopped off because I was afraid. After we went back to their house, we set up a bonfire and had a few moments alone which weren't as awkward as I thought they would be. We actually got pretty close. He would hit me on my shoulder when I would tease him, and at some point there was some kind of prolonged physical touch where we were sitting next to one another and our legs were barely touching. And we kind of have been talking on Snapchat all day, nothing crazy, but I don't know what to feel. The thing about this is his sister has never been against us dating. I just don't know if he actually likes me or if he's just weird and wants an escape from his GF from time to time. Comment. I would tread very carefully and go at a snail's pace if at all. I'd probably hope it fades. Friends, true friendship, really matters. And while she isn't against you dating, she would absolutely choose him in a split. Hopefully she would. It's her brother. The odds of him being your forever aren't great. Here's my best advice. Don't act on it. If, in 5 years, something develops, go for it. They're family and they include you. That would end. Sometimes it's really fun just to have a crush and leave it as a fantasy. Honest, blunt, golden rule. 1. If you see how he acts with you and has a GF, the sign should be he can't be trusted as a BF. So don't get the idea y'all would make it. He can grow out of this. 2. No guaranteed. 2. If you don't make him work for it, he won't respect it. 3. In 3 more years, y'all will both be in a different space and maybe actually have a chance. Don't ruin it now. Next story 3. I think my boyfriend may have something going on with his flatmate, 24F. Are these signs to be concerned about? My boyfriend and I have been seeing each other for around 4 months. Around month 2 he confessed to me that he hadn't been completely honest with me. When we first started seeing each other he was talking about how he would never sleep with his female flatmate, 24, and that his brother who helped him move in even made him promise he wouldn't sleep with her. So my boyfriend admitted that he slept with this girl a few months before meeting me, despite having said before that he was celibate for over a year. He explained it was a heat of the moment, alcohol-induced event where they both got blackout drunk and came back to the flat. One thing led to another and they started doing it in his bed, but he passed out. He said he woke up and she had gone back to her room and nothing more was said about it after that. They had been drinking together on a night out and apparently she had been hinting at him the entire time that she wanted to do the deed. He said he was a bit oblivious to it until they got back to the flat. My boyfriend apologized for being dishonest and although I was disheartened, I forgave it and moved on. It wasn't a big deal and I appreciated his honesty in coming clean early on. He made it very clear that it's completely done between them, will never happen again. He got tested for STDs and there is nothing emotional to worry about. However, I started to feel a niggle of insecurity when he was laying with me in bed, half asleep, and on 3 separate occasions he has called me by her name. He apologized straight away and said it's not that deep, it's just because he talks with her all the time since they live together. They text each other pretty casually, from what I've seen it's not super frequent but they're talking like good friends would. Whenever I come around they speak like very good friends would, banter and all. He fills her in on all that's happening in his week, etc. I do find myself feeling a bit jealous of that, because I myself don't even know all of this information about him. He doesn't tell me much at all. They also have shows they watch regularly together. I get it, they're home a lot together, but not even we do that. More often than not, he will mistake things he's told her for things he's told me. In the flat, I've asked him if he could be fully dressed in common areas, not going around shirtless as he usually does. I explained that it makes me feel uncomfortable because he's been intimate with her before, and even though it's his home, I just didn't feel like it was appropriate. I did let that one go because although it made me feel weird, I wanted to respect that he is being comfortable in his own home, so I dropped it and moved on. We talked about it and felt all good afterwards, not a big deal. My boyfriend is going away soon and this flatmate asked to sleep in his bed while he's gone because hers is broken and she says she may have a guest sleep over for a bit in her bed. He is a generous, carefree kind of guy and he said yes, of course. He and I discussed this later and he said he did get to understand why it was a bit weird thinking on it, but here I wasn't going to make him go back on his word. He has already said yes. Although, now I'm wishing I did ask him to say no to her sleeping in his bed. At that point I was feeling fine, but today I've woken up and realized I'm getting generally uncomfortable with the situation between them. I would like to note that she and I get along pretty well and I love when she is around. She is a really cool person in my opinion. However, last night when I was on a phone call with my boyfriend, all he would talk about is this girl. He complained about her to no end. It made me think retrospectively and I realized that every single time I see him he has something to complain about with her. He is always annoyed by her in some way, for some reason, and will complain to me about it. I never picked up on it until now. Tonight we were supposed to go drinking together with him, her, 2 other flatmates and some of their friends, but my boyfriend doesn't even seem to care if I'm there or not. It's something the female flatmate made a bet with him on and he lost, so he has to go drinking with her again. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable about tonight because of what happened with them the last time, and now he says he doesn't care if I go or not. I don't feel nice about that. I absolutely do need to have another discussion with him about everything I've said here, but he can't exactly move out because of this, and even if he does I have a feeling that he will still be chatty friends with her anyway. He has a history of staying connected with his exes, and although I've told him I would prefer it if he didn't keep in contact with all his exes, he still does that too. It's just one of my boundaries, but he doesn't understand it and doesn't want to do anything different than he's doing. I guess I'm wondering if I am being unreasonable here? I just feel super uncomfortable with all of this now and I'm unsure of how to proceed. In case it's all just coincidence or whatever. Am I connecting dots that aren't there? I would really appreciate some insight and outside perspectives.